And now for the latest news on the markets, it's over to Steve Letts. Steve.
Thanks, Alan. Well, Wall Street investors at the end of the week had the choice of being buoyed by relatively good news on employment or worried by relatively bad news from Europe. They chose the latter. A flurry of early jobs-related buying was followed by slightly heavier Europe-inspired selling in the afternoon, with the net result being that the S&P 500 and Nasdaq slipped about 1% and the Dow Jones a bit less. On the US employment front, 100,000 jobs were added in September, when the market thought 60,000 would be a pass mark. Nonetheless, unemployment remains firmly stuck at 9.1%, where it's been pretty well for months. In Europe, Spain and Italy, two of the EU's bigger economies with deeply troubling sovereign debt problems, were hit with a credit downgrade, as were a dozen UK banks and 9 banks in Portugal, none of which helps sentiment for financial stocks on either side of the Atlantic. However, over the week, optimism did trump pessimism, with Europe and Australia both up about 4%. The UK and US were stronger too, leaving Japan to pick up the gong for bear of the week. Now, with more news on local shares, here's Tom Elliot.
Well, as you just heard, the Australian share market, like so many other markets around the world, rebounded strongly during the week. There was a fair bit of corporate activity on the local market. Firstly, New Hope Coal said it had received multiple takeover bids. As a result, the company has now put itself up formally for sale and the stock was up 16%. Also, Hanlong Mining, it's a Chinese company. It's interested in 2 local stocks. One is Sundance Resources. Hanlong announced it was increasing its bid for Sundance by 50 to 57 cents per share. That bid has now been agreed by the target board, and many people think that Bannerman Resources will be next. Bannerman shares were up 5% over the week. Cochlear shares have been sold off a lot recently, but the stock did rebound 5% after the company said it had found the fault with its hearing implant. Apparently it's moisture related. Hopefully that is fixed fairly soon. The falling $1, well, the dollar did rebound a bit in the last few days, but it's still well below parity with the US dollar. This does help companies with overseas earnings like CSL and Brambles, both of which were bought up during the week. Coca-Cola Amatil's Terry Davis wasn't backwards in coming forwards when he blamed a lack of innovation at Foster's as leading to that company's takeover bid by SAB Miller. Foster's shares, one of the few stocks to actually fall, down 1% over the week, while Coca-Cola shares were steady. Bank stocks have been sold off heavily over the last month or so. They did rebound strongly on expectations that the European debt crisis would soon be resolved. ANZ was up 6%, NAB up 6%, Westpac, Commonwealth and Macquarie all up as well. Sims Metal Management announced a 10% buyback of their own stock. The share market responded by pushing the company's share price up 5%. And finally, even commodities had a welcome bounce during the week. As a result, stocks like BHP, Rio, Fortescue and Woodside were all strongly sought by investors. Winner of the week is Bandana Energy, up 43% on news that has successfully arranged finance of a new coal terminal at Gladstone. Loser of the week is Murchison Metals, down 16% after admitting it might not be able to pay its share of the troubled Oakajee port development near Geraldton.